So let's crack on with Liverpool against Manchester United. Eddie, first, what was your thoughts having watched the game? What did you make of it all?
I thought it was a really strong start to the game from Liverpool. I thought they showed real intent to press and they pinned Manchester United in. They didn't really sustain it, and United were a lot stronger in the second half, and probably with the chances they had in that second half will be frustrated they didn't win. Yeah.
Michael, when we look at, we've got the two teams here, maybe a couple of subtle changes. Shaqiri played off the other side, didn't he, a little bit? I think Shaqiri was a little bit here and maybe a little bit more like that. And Paul Pogba was certainly over the other side in front of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Marcus Rashford actually was down the middle with Anthony Martial off the left side, a little bit more like that. What did you make of the performance from both teams?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Manchester United played exactly like we thought they'd play. They'd sit in, they'd try to counter-attack. It was definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's game plan to use the likes of Rashford, Martial in particular. Very structured in terms of Manchester United. They play 6 players that it's just their job to defend, in this game anyway. And then you've got your 4 of Martial, Rashford, Fernandes and Pogba that they're left to go and try to do the damage. From Liverpool's point of view, of course, the headline was 2 midfielders playing at centre-half. Attacking 3 failed to fire yet again. Thiago getting his first start at Anfield. Shaqiri was the big news, I suppose, as well, coming into that midfield. Didn't really set the world alight. He has got good form against Manchester United in the past. Overall, I thought it was a fair result, 0-0.
Yeah. What did you make, Ed, of that decision to play Paul Pogba in this area, knowing full well that, and we're going to show some clips of this very soon, of Andrew Robertson, his ability to fly forward. Is that something, when you looked at that straight away, you're thinking that might be an issue, a problem for them?
I think defensively, yes, but I think Pogba's been excellent lately off the left-hand side. So I was slightly surprised to see him switch to the right.
Yeah.
Because off the left, he can come inside onto his favoured right foot, and I think he's been excellent drifting inside from that position. So on the right, I think it's a little bit more difficult for him to influence the game. And defensively, certainly against Robertson, that's a real test.
Yeah, and again, playing Marcus Rashford there down the middle, as opposed to where we've seen him operating in this sort of area, but having him down the middle, the right call?
Well, I can only think it was to get at Fabinho and Henderson with sheer pace, and I think Rashford's probably their quickest player. Usually times his runs really well in behind, so I think that was a tactical ploy, and also for Martial to stay in the team with his pace as well, because I think they saw the legs in their team as a real way to get at Liverpool.
Yeah. Michael, let's have a little look at just click this back up 1 second, there we go. Just have a look at Liverpool's problems. They've had goal scoring problems, they've had issues with bizarrely for them not being able to find the goals. When we look at this particular graphic, sorry, that's just gone there. Let me just click that there. There you go. When we look at this graphic, Michael, there, and we see XG, which is the expected goals. Just explain to us a little bit about, for those that don't understand expected goals, how that kind of works.
Well, I really like this, and I'd be keen to understand Eddie's view on it. I'm sure certain managers do look at it, but the XG is basically what you would consider the expected goals for that particular game. And of course, you see here, for example, against Crystal Palace, Liverpool scored 7 goals. But based on all the chances in the game as a whole, they were only expected to score 2.87. So what that means, of course, is that they've scored goals that most times you wouldn't score. You know, Salah curled one into the top corner, they scored a free kick. Very, very clinical. They probably had 7 or 8 chances, but they were very, very clinical. So I think that almost tells a story of where Liverpool are at the moment. They're not, you know, creating enough chances. Now, because you could get carried away by thinking, hang on a minute, they've scored 7, but really their XG was quite low. And in all of these games, of course, they've scored 1 goal in those 4 games, which is staggering when you consider it was against West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton and Manchester United. It's quite clear that the striking trio aren't performing at the moment.
How much, Eddie, do the managers and you guys use some of this data, like expected goals? Was that something that you actually used a lot down at Bournemouth?
Yeah, the XG would use a lot. That would be a real barometer, really, of how well we've played from an attacking sense. You could score, as Liverpool did here, 7 goals, but not perform well from an attacking perspective, and the sort of stats might show that. So sometimes, you know, the goals can hide and mask problems, and also the other way. I mean, that's not hiding anything. Liverpool, from an attacking perspective, the last few games haven't quite got it right. Yeah.
What about in terms of end product, Eddie? Are you seeing Liverpool deficient in this particular area where they've been so prolific? Are you seeing something noticeable or not?
Well, I think there's loads to take from every game, and I think you can analyse it to the nth degree. I think just some of their decision-making, which I think these clips show, just hasn't quite been of the normal standard. They've got outstanding players. They're coached by arguably one of the best coaches in the world. They just haven't quite got it right, and I think hopefully if we can get these...
Yeah, Michael, give me that's it.